This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
FM 89.9 KMOJ, Walter Q. Bear Banks Jr. got you on the afternoon drive. No question about it. Letting you know right now we're locking into Little Moments Count. Now check this out. Little Moments Count on the afternoon drive is brought to you in part by Little Moments Count and 89.9 KMOJ. It's a statewide collaborative focusing on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of one's young life. Nearly 80% of the brain growth happens to the first 1,000 days of a small person's interactions when we're talking playing, we're talking reading, we're talking singing, more on the physical side of just doing and touch and feel kind of thing. And so I'm letting you know right now, if you like more information about Little Moments Count, you can lock in at littlemomentscount.org. And on this early afternoon, I got my man, Mr. Brandon Jones. I'd like to say good early afternoon to you, and how are you doing?
Greetings. I'm doing well. Glad to be on with you today.
No doubt. For the listening audience, give us just a little bit about yourself when it comes to you and some of the things in the area that you work in when it comes to that educational side and dealing with youngsters as well, because there's a plethora of informations and a lot of acronyms with the ACE and the EQ and the MT, MFT. So talk to us. Give us a little bit of insight.
Yeah, I'll make it simple for you. So again, my name is Brandon Jones. I'm the executive director of Minnesota Association for Children's Mental Health. And one of the main things we do is we are very active in this space called infant and early childhood mental health. Ultimately what that means is we work with parents and caregivers in helping develop young children from infancy to about 3 to 4 years old. That's one of the things that we do. And in this space, I think a lot of people don't realize how important those early developmental years are. Things like lap time, things like play, things like reading to your children. If you speak more than one language, being able to be bi or trilingual. These are all very valuable things in the development of a young child.
So now when it comes to that you do and looking at it from a point of view of being helpful to like a caregiver or a parent and dealing with a youngster at a very young age, what are some of the things that you would say that one would do that would help a young one's grow in a healthy kind of way?
Absolutely. One of the main things that we do, and I think a lot of parents and caregivers do these things without realizing the importance of them, is smiling, engaging verbally with your child, playing with your child, reading to your child, making facial expressions with your child and allowing them to make those expressions as well. And then something that we always see in our community is getting our child to try to say something, right? Like those things are important for the development of a young person. What those things do is they help to enhance the what we call the psychomotor development, which is the ability to move. It helps them with facial recognition. It even helps them formulate language. All these things are very important in those early years. It's unfortunate that in today's world, we stick a lot of screens in front of our kids, and they'll learn about how to work those screens. But that human interaction between parent, caregiver, and even siblings is very valuable and very important.
So now let's say that one is a caregiver, and even when it comes to the foster side, because those are where you a lot of times deal with youngsters that are not yours, but you're in position to help and be an assistance to helping them to grow. When it comes to the learning process of it, how important is it to open a book and read, and every once in a while, sit down and just have that conversation that tells them a little bit about themselves at a very young age, but then also about life and just telling them stories?
Yeah, it's very valuable. Anyone who's interested in becoming a foster parent or just a caregiver, even if you're an aunt or uncle or somebody who's just stepping in and assisting with the development of a young child, literature is very important, not just reading to your child, but also for you to be informed, especially in the case of a foster care or some other type of maybe even adoption or some other type of placement situation. A lot of those young people come with issues around attachment, various different security issues, and it's important to be well informed of how that may manifest in a young person's life. It's not always the same for every kid or every young person, but it is important to still be informed so you're just prepared for whatever may come your way as this young person is developing, which means that you might have to do some extra reading, some extra play. You may have to put them in extracurricular activities, and sometimes you may even need to get them some services to deal with some of the issues that they may have experienced at that young age.
And so one of the other things is signs or symptoms, because they both of those work hand in hand when it comes to youngsters and youth and showing them different things. But even in the process of showing them, how do you know what's healthy, or what are some of the things that you would let a listener know that they're on the right path of healthiness when it comes to growth for a youngster?
Absolutely. One thing you want to pay attention to is the movement of a child or the end movement. If your child, depending on the age, it all changes. But, by the time they're around 18 months, I'll say 12 to 18 months, you want to see them up, moving around, using some of that upper body strength, pulling themselves on a couch or pulling things off of a bed or things of that nature, trying to reach things that may be out of their reach. Those are normal development things. If you have a child that doesn't show those types of engagements or that type of activity, you may want to pay some attention and also ask some questions from your medical provider on what's happening. If you have a child who isn't very talkative and may be selective mute, or maybe another thing to pay attention to is, does your child follow movements with their eyes? Are they missing things or paying attention to things? Another thing to pay attention to is their hearing. Let's say you have a dog in the house or maybe a TV or radio that's loud. Does a child respond to sudden noises or not? You want to look for these things that may be a little out of the ordinary for your child. And sometimes that's difficult for parents to recognize, especially if they're first time parents, because it's their first time seeing it. But you really want to pay attention to the developmental cues of your child. And if you don't know what those are for your child's age range, simply just go to Google and say, where should my child be at 18 months? Where should my child be at 2 years old? Where should my child be, at this marker? So I'm aware of where this child's development should be. And does what Google says or my doctor, does this match what I'm seeing with my own child?
And early on, what got you locked into this space of where you're at? Because when we're talking about mental health, and then being a director and executive, but then even beyond that, when we're talking about leadership and what is that when you just got the in position, and what you're doing in your position is that you do. What got you started in that area?
Well, just seeing the need in my community, being a black, I started as a therapist. I was a black male therapist. We're like unicorns. We barely exist. And eventually I said, there's more for me to do in this space besides just see people on an individual or family basis. How can I make a bigger impact? And that's what got me started. And also just going upstream, knowing the importance of being present during infancy in those early developmental years and how that can set up a child for success. That's something that I'm passionate about. And that's something that I want us all to be passionate about, is the development of our children. At the end of the day, our children is one of the main purposes of our lives and what we push. And as a community, we have to take responsibility for all our kids. So this is one of the ways that I take responsibility.
Okay. Well, if by chance I missed a question or two, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, some of the closing statements I would say, parenting isn't easy. There is no ABC step to parenting, but it is something that you should definitely do. And if you're not a parent, you can always help out a parent or a caregiver as much as possible. It starts with a lot of role modeling. It actually involves a lot of active listening. And then it also involves a lot of paying attention and engagement, some intentionality. So make sure you're present, make sure that you understand the babies are watching, and that you're doing the right things as well. You're modeling those healthy behaviors.
No doubt. I want to say thank you very much for taking time out your schedule, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brandon Jones, and letting us know when it comes to Little Moments Count, how it's done in order to get that youth, that youngster at a very young age, to getting on that right track of being healthy when it comes to the mental and the physical. So thank you very much once again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Take care.
No doubt, no doubt. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ, and letting you know that if you like more information about Little Moments Count, all you have to do is lock in at littlemomentscount.org/podcast, or you can go to the website at littlemomentscount.org. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.